Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
You know, Tom Brady and the Patriots are being punished more harshly right now for playing a game, a sports game. Being punished more harshly for playing a game and for possibly cheating in that game than our politicians get for cheating in an election. Or defrauding people in an election. That's no joke, folks. So again, I'm asking the question, why? How is this so important when we've got so many other things that are far more important, priorities here? I mean, fine, great. Tom Brady's going to be punished for, but is there any actual proof that I don't think that this 4-game season is actually going to go on, or 4-game punishment at the beginning of the season is going to go unchallenged. You just wait. There's no way, because the NFL doesn't. They said, well, we don't have any proof that, we believe that he knew, but we don't have any proof. It's kind of like the Baltimore stuff, the Baltimore cops. They're just going to punish these guys by charging them, even though there's no possible way that they can prove any of the just about any of the charges that have been brought up against them. There's no way that the prosecution can prove any of those charges. The evidence isn't there. So this is kind of the same thing with Brady. But we will let, we're not going to let Brady get away with stuff, but we're going to let, politicians who decide state, national, international policy, get away with, less than scrupulous methods of garnering their positions and instituting their favored policy, as it were. Hello, my favorite fellow Americans. Yes, you're my favorites, too. It is I, your lovable host, Elrod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust, as we bounce on into our number 2 here on this Monday, May 11th, in the year of our Lord 2015. And should you wish to join me tonight, and just give me a call at toll-free 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. It is there for you. I also want to take this moment to ask for your assistance in something. And that is, I'm going to ask this thing because I think it's very important that you pay attention and view this or listen to this as another commercial, if you will, but a rather important one. And this is for I would like to be able to start focusing even more on helping vets through the Zinc Agency. And so, there is going to, this summer there's going to be, because, jobs, there is a job cycle, just like there is, a school cycle, and a cycle to everything else. There's also job cycle. And the jobs, trying to find a job in the summer can be very hard, can be very stressful. One, because a lot of hiring managers, they go on their vacations, they're in vacation mode, even if they're at work. Other decision makers are not easily available, and things get stretched out, and people just don't pay a lot of attention to you, for obvious reasons. It's the summer, man. When you were fully employed, you kind of had the same type of thing going on in your mind. It's the summer, man. But as we ramp up for September, September and October are two of the biggest hiring months out there, actually. So if you want to get in front of people for an interview to get that offer, just go to the Facebook page for now. There are some other things coming. There will be some other pages, some other websites. It's not just going to be one. This is going to be you're going to be impressed by it. So, but just go to the Facebook page right now. Facebook.com/Zinc Agency, and you'll see it. And contact me there. I do have one person who is helping me with this, and so it's either he or I will be your agent. Well, I mean, even if you get him, you still have me, but you will still have an employment agent that's somebody in your corner if you are a military vet is seeking to change your career, to up your career, or to get a career in the civilian world. I don't know how else to say that. So, contact information is over there. Full contact information, what to do and what not. So if you know a military vet, now you have to, I'm sorry, well, I'm not really sorry. I'm doing something for people who have risked it all for us. This is the least I could do to give back. If you are a military vet or you know somebody who's a military vet, then have them go over to the Zinc Agency Facebook page. Like the page. Don't like the page, I don't care. Just contact us over there. That's all that really counts. We have helped some vets obtain jobs already. I've been doing this kind of quietly for the past 2.5, 3 years now. And now I think it's time. I know I have gotten the system down pat that I developed, and it's time to up it a notch, as it were, to be able to help more. And look, folks, it doesn't cost you anything if you're a vet. It's not going to cost you a dime. If I can't find you a job, you owe me nothing. You never will owe me anything. All hiring fees, if there are any, are paid by the hiring employer. Kind of like if you're a movie star, the agent doesn't pay the star, the studio pays the star and the agent. So it's the same thing. There's no different. So do that if you're and once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you tremendously to all our vets for your service. Past and present. Speaking of crooked politicians, and this is kind of interesting because I'm going to talk about this, and if you'll note, you're not going to hear Democrats do something similar, liberals do something similar. Now, this is out of Vermont, and this is from crooksandliars.com. Vermont State Senator Norm McAllister was arrested last Thursday and charged with multiple felony counts of felony sexual assault and 3 related misdemeanors connected with a sex for rent scheme. McAllister is a Vermont state senator and a Republican in a very Democratic-led state. So I don't know why he thought he was going to get... first of all, he's a Republican. So, one, he's real lucky to have gotten elected in the first place in Bernie Sanders' state. And two, why did he think he was going to be able to get away with something being in such a democratically controlled state and he was a Republican? Hello, McFly? Prosecutors allege that Senator Norman H. McAllister, a Republican out of Franklin, Vermont, over a period of several years, sexually assaulted 2 women who were his tenants and employees, and that he attempted to solicit a 3rd woman. That 3rd woman called police last week, launching a fast-moving investigation that by Friday was reverberating throughout the state capital of Montpelier. The investigation moved swiftly, beginning Monday and ending on Thursday with his arrest. They must have had some pretty damning evidence, if they were able to move that quickly on him. Now, according to court papers, the investigation into McAllister's conduct began Monday, and over the following days, police had two of the women place recorded phone calls to the senator. Now, in the conversations, which are quoted in a sworn police affidavit prepared by Detective Sergeant Benjamin Katz, K-A-T-Z, yes, that Katz, of the Vermont State Police, McAllister made allusions to exchanging sex for rent payments he is due. Now that's, I guess that's solicitation, right? Now, you got to understand, nowhere in the story does it mention the man's age. Oh, yes, it does. McAllister, over at the time, reached by phone overseas, Weston said that upon introducing herself to McAllister in 2007. He says, "It's nice to meet you, but it would have been better to meet you with your clothes off," she said. Now, back in 2007, McAllister was 55, and one of the victims was 25. So back then, that's 7-8 years ago. So the guy is now 63 years old, and he's still doing it. And I got to tell you, there's a picture of him. Obviously, he's not a looker. Even from a guy to guy perspective, he's not. He's an old man. He's not a looker. Evidently he owns some real estate property, and he makes real estate He has real estate investments and holdings. Maybe he's got some money. It really probably doesn't take all that much to be considered to be wealthy or upper class in Vermont. I'm not putting down Vermont. Vermont is an absolutely beautiful state with some very friendly and very knowledgeable citizens. I love going to Vermont. Vermont's got some quirky laws that I don't particularly like, but I stay out of trouble when I go to Vermont, so I don't have to really worry about those laws. But it's a beautiful state. I have vacationed in Vermont numerous times. I plan to do more of it. And there are places that I will avoid, like Ben & Jerry's ice cream now, because of who Ben & Jerry's is. Not because I don't like their ice cream, but because I do. But I don't buy it anymore for obvious reasons. And if you've ever listened to this program long enough, you will know why I do not buy Ben & Jerry's anymore. But this, they're anti-military. Let me just put it that way. Ben Cohen of Ben & Jerry's is very anti-military. But this guy, he's a Republican. And there's nobody standing up for him. Now, if he were a Democrat, you'd have the Democrats, calling, well, he was entrapped and blah, and he really didn't do that, and they really didn't like him, so it's a Republican plot to try to get rid of him. You don't hear any Republicans in Vermont saying this is a Democratic plot trying to entrap McAllister and get rid of one of the few Republican senators in the state legislature, blah, blah, blah. No, this guy's, look, he is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law in front of a jury of his peers. If it goes that far, he's got that right. That's who he is. But he's innocent until proven guilty. But if they've got him on tape saying this, it's well, sorry to say, that's kind of guilty there, dude. You better make a plea. On to the story that I mentioned last segment. This is from the dailymail.com. A couple raising 10 children in tents on a garbage dump banned them from school and threatened concerned neighbors with guns. Their defense, it's all part of the trendy free-range parenting fad. Now, I have not heard of this free-range parenting fad. So this free-range parenting fad means living in dirty tents in on a garbage dump. I don't know. This first I've heard of it, but again, here's the story. Joel Nogler, Naugler, and pregnant wife Nicole Nogler claim authorities disagree with their free-range parenting style in Breckinridge County, Kentucky. Now, free-range children have absolute independence from infancy. But a CPS report states the family of 12 live in squalor surrounded by broken glass and garbage in 2 makeshift tents. Now, the Child Protective Services, CPS, alerted after neighbors said Joel Nogler threatened him with a knife. Now, according to a report, they seized the 10 kids and arrested the parents after they refused to let investigators speak to the kids. Well, I don't know. Last time I checked, they were not the state's kids. Why would you arrest the parents because they refused to let you speak to? You don't get to speak to kids, another person's kids. I don't care. You don't get to just because, well, we're the government. No, you don't get to. You're going to have to go through the parents on this one. In order to speak to the kids, or, well, I guess, or through their lawyer, if they have a lawyer. So a family of 10 children have been seized by Kentucky Child Services after they were allegedly found to be living in squalor in a tiny cabin filled with garbage. Now we're told it's a cabin, but I thought it was. I love these stories. This is why you read through them. And you try to pick them apart in order to try to find the true story. Sometimes it's hard. So let me reread some of the bullet points to you. A CPS, Child Protective Services report states a family of 12 live in squalor, surrounded by broken glass and garbage in 2 makeshift tents. In 2 makeshift tents. Now, go down into the body of the story. A family of 10 children have been seized by Kentucky Child Services after they were allegedly found to be living in squalor in a tiny cabin filled with garbage. So, you got to ask, what's going on? Is it 2 dirty tents, makeshift tents, or is it a garbage-filled tiny cabin? Now, already red flags in my mind are going up that there's something amiss here. Why are these parents being targeted in the first place? Yeah, they got 10 kids, big deal. So what? And they might be poor, financially poor. So what? Looking at a picture of these kids with apparently their dad, they don't look unhappy. They don't look dirty, and they don't look like they're in squalor. I know it's just a picture, but, and then there's another picture of of their home, and it's called the Blessed Little Homestead, and there appears to be, a makeshift cabin, and attached to it is a tent for like a 3-season porch type of thing. But I don't, it's Kentucky. It could be like, coal miner's daughter country. I don't know where this is in Kentucky. And people would look at this and they would judge this family and say, this is, you shouldn't want your kids to live like this. Okay. But, who says that the only way to raise a child is in the city? With a bathroom in a high rise or in a over mortgaged home. Are we that spoiled? Are we that spoiled that that's the only way that we think we can live and raise kids now is in that type of atmosphere? There are many types of ways. But what is happening is that the government is deciding that it's going to limit your ability to decide how you live your life. No, don't doubt me on this, folks. This is what is happening. They are deciding how you're going to live. Now, I'm not an advocate for allowing kids to live in squalor. I'm not. However, if the kids are not really neglected, they're not malnourished, and if all their quote-unquote squalor is that they're poor, that's not an excuse to take people's kids away from them. Sorry. It's not. I mean, especially if the kids are well-rounded, happy. These parents actually, I guess they posted pictures of their homestead on their Facebook page, and kids like to play in mud. And you see some of the pictures, and kids, some of the babies, a couple of babies, they're in what appears to be plastic diapers, like Pampers. Now, if you're that poor, you don't buy Pampers. Just saying. If you can't afford, diapers are expensive, man. The Pampers style diapers and stuff, the plastic disposal, that's kind of expensive. So looking at that alone says, well, maybe there's, they have a little bit more than the story is letting on. And so is the government really coming in there and saying, well, we don't like it, so we're just going to take your kids away? Look, part of the problem is that these parents are homeschooling their kids. They're homeschooling their kids. And they're teaching them things that they're not being taught in regular public indoctrination centers, those places, those buildings that we call public schools. So is that the real problem? Is that the real issue? Is that these parents are teaching their kids something other than the approved standard curriculum in a public school? I'm thinking that might be it. That might be the reason why they're being targeted. Oh, because we already know that Obama doesn't particularly like any of us to be Christian. Even though he claims to be one, I don't think that he really is, and he doesn't really like us all that much, all those who claim to be Christian. He doesn't like us that much. And every chance he gets, he tries to rub our nose into it. Every chance he gets, he tells us that we're, second-class citizens. I'm talking about Obama here. Plain and simple. And so now we've got a state moving in to what appears to be a very active, a very healthy. I mean, all these kids look like they're well-fed. None of them doesn't look like they're malnourished. Very happy, well-adjusted, playful, inquisitive children that just happen to live on a homestead that doesn't look like the house across the street from you, probably, or your house. And that, according to the state of Tennessee, is grounds for taking the 10 kids away and probably splitting up those siblings so they're not together. Now, you want to talk about really damaging kids? How about ripping them from their parents, loving parents, and separating them from their siblings? Yeah, I think that's more damaging than anything else. Good job.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Hey, there's another poll out there. Yes, another poll. I know I talk about how, you can't follow polls, but this is an interesting poll. And it's not about candidates. This poll is about where this country is headed, actually, and it's kind of a scary poll. And I'm not going to lie, it's a very bothersome poll. Now, it's a poll with a good question, however. I mean, this question is the point of the poll is a very good one, because this is the kind of stuff we need to know. And I will break this down for you as to why this poll is the way it is, the way the results of it is, and why I believe the poll to be fairly accurate. And it is a worrisome description of where this country is going. Now, please keep in mind one thing here: the Constitution. And as we move forward through this story, as I tell you more about it, you will have to keep that in mind, the Constitution. And then you will also understand at the same time why things are the way they are right now. Okay, here we go. Here's a poll. Democrats, this is from hotair.com. Democrats now view socialism almost as favorably as they view capitalism. And I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, Rod, they're Democrats. They've always viewed socialism. What's the key factor here is Democrats drifting left over time as Clinton's coalition was replaced by Obama's, or the word socialism being watered down since its Cold War heyday. And that is it. It's been watered down in our institutions of higher learning, our big education, and in our public indoctrination centers we call public schools. This is why you have, this shift into saying, well, socialism isn't so bad. Socialism can be pretty cool. In other words, getting somebody else to pay for you. That's a pretty cool concept. That's okay. And it's becoming more and more acceptable for this. But here's the breakdown. 52% of Americans have a favorable view of capitalism, while only 26% have a favorable view of socialism. And you're probably thinking, well, that's not too bad. Oh, that's horrendous, folks. That's a horrendous, barely half, a little over half of Americans have a favorable view of capitalism. The very basis of this country, the very notion, the very foundation that our Constitution is based upon, pure, unadulterated capitalism, freedom. Only 52% of Americans have a favorable view. Now that you understand that, you don't think that number's so good anymore, do you? Now, among younger Americans, however, attitudes are a lot more divided. Again, as we have moved more and more into this notion of big education and our public indoctrination centers that we call public schools, 36% of under 30s, people under 30, 36% have a positive view of socialism, while only 39% have a positive view of capitalism. Oh, wait, what? Let me give you that number again, or that statistic again. Now, this is for people under the age of 30. This tips into the millennials right now. Keep that in mind. 36% of those under 30 have a positive view of socialism. The Wall Street thing? Yeah, Occupy Wall Street gang? Mm-hmm. Yeah, millennials, under 30, most of them. Yep, 36% have a positive view of socialism. In other words, trying to tell you how to live your life and dictate how much you're going to be able to earn. And only 39% of those under the age of 30 have a positive view of capitalism. Now, those are the people that are going to try to keep this country and this economy moving forward. But it's only 39%. Not 52% anymore, is it? A little worried now? Can you see where I'm a little bit worried about where all this is going? Now, here's another number that is striking in its comparison and differentiating between those who are over 65. Now, these are people over 65. These are, not the baby boomers. Over 65, these are the World War II and Depression era babies. So here we have those over 65 who came at the height of at the age of the Cold War. Only 15% look upon socialism favorably, while only 59% have a favorable view of capitalism. Now you see that continuing slide down from our 65-year-olds, from that World War II Cold War era generation of children, 65 and older. Only 59% of them have a favorable view of capitalism. But the good news on that side is only 15% of them look on socialism favorably. But then you average it out to all Americans, and that 59% drops down to 52%, and then you get to those who are up and coming, the millennials, those people under 30, and that favorable view of capitalism drops from 59% to 39%. Do you see a worrisome trend? Now, I bring this to you because I want you to fully understand what you are doing. If you're a parent right now of a high school student or a college student, if you're a parent, I am pointing out to you, and I'm not going to hold back on this one. You are contributing to the downfall of this nation, and you're probably saying, how is that? If your kid is going to a public indoctrination school or center, otherwise known as a public school, or you're sending them to one of these big, highfalutin, way left-wing, big education schools of higher learning, then you're contributing to this country's downfall because your kids are learning socialism good, capitalism bad. And look, you don't have to believe. It's documented proof that this is what's going on. Even the left admits it. So you can't challenge me when the left themselves are admitting this stuff. But I'm telling you, you're contributing to the downfall of the very nation that you claim to love by participating in its destruction, by having your children educated by people who wish to see this country suffer, decline, and turn into a socialistic state. Don't doubt me on this, folks. Now, here's another breakdown. Democrats, 43% are much more likely than either independents or Republicans to have a favorable view of socialism. 43% of Democrats. Now, can you understand why my latest article was, delves into the fact that liberalism is a cult? It's a growing cult. Because no matter how much we can prove that socialism doesn't work, once they have been indoctrinated, once they believe, it's very difficult to yank somebody out of that system. It takes a lot to pull them out of that. I mean, there's a lot of pain associated with disconnecting with being a liberal Democrat. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of emotional pain. Because you're wrenching them away from something that they've believed with all their being for so. It's kind of like an atheist finally convincing a long-time born-again Christian that there is no God. Can you imagine the emotional distress and pain of pulling this evangelical born-again Christian out of Christianity into atheism? That's a lot of emotional pain, folks. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen usually willfully. There's a lot of pulling and tugging and convincing and browbeating and brainwashing to get them to do this. So when you have brainwashed 43% of Americans into believing that socialism is good, you've got a problem. Now, the good news is that only 22% of independents think that have a favorable view of socialism, while only 9% of Republicans have a favorable view. Now, I got to tell you something. When I saw that it said 9%, I was a little flabbergasted by that. Really? Why are you a conservative? Well, just a Republican, however, doesn't mean you're conservative. But basically, if you have a favorable view of socialism, why the hell would you be a Republican? The very notion of socialism to just about any Republican is really kind of repulsive. Why would you be a Republican? So you see, this is even infiltrating the Republican Party. This notion of socialism good is even infiltrating the Republican Party. Now, you might say, well, Ron, it's only 9%. Look, 9% can become 18%, can become 36% in a heartbeat, in a generation. Look, we can see 2 generations removed, we go from 59% favorability for capitalism to only 39% favorability. In other words, the millennials' grandparents believe in capitalism, but those grandparents' grandchildren, the millennials, do not. What's the difference? The grandparents' children or the grandchildren's parents. Generation in between. That's the difference. And most of that is not Generation X. Most of that is, because Generation X is the smallest generation by numbers that is currently alive on this planet right now. Baby boomers and millennials happen to comprise the 2 largest generations. And the baby boomers have, being frank, I'm not a baby boomer, but Generation X here, but those baby boomers, man, they screwed up a lot. They screwed up their kids. But now I'm here to tell you, and it's only going to get worse because, now you got all these millennials who are starting to have kids, and those kids will be entering school pretty soon. Where are they going to send their kids? Or do you think maybe that the next generation, I don't know what that generation is called, the children of the millennials, do you think possibly maybe that they'll have even less, it'll be fewer than 39% view capitalism favorably? I think that is going to happen. And as it keeps dropping and dropping, you're going to see more Republicans, rhinos, if you will, who will rise up, who believe, in some form of socialism is a good thing. You'll see that 9% of Republicans have a favorable view of socialism start to rise rather dramatically. And within a generation or two, many of us could still be around. We're talking later half of this century. After 2050, we're going to be in real, serious trouble. As far as those who believe in the Constitution and the freedom in order to be able to, and those who believe in the freedom, having enough freedom to basically live your life without daily government intervention and telling you how to live, our days are numbered. And you're probably saying, well, Rod, once I'm dead and gone, I don't really care what my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids do. But let me tell you something. It's going to be a painful transition for you, especially in the time frame, in the time of your life where you're going to be the most vulnerable, elderly. Think about it. You may say, well, it's a fait accompli, Rod. It's going to happen, so we just might as well, give up the ghost and just and go along for the ride. Well, I'm telling you, that's not a good idea. Because most of us under the sound of my voice today, if we're going to be around after the year 2050, we're going to be senior citizens. And those are the people that are going to get the worst brunt of this socialistic change. And it's called social medicine too. That look, many of us now. I know you probably don't like to hear this either, but that's what Obamacare is. It's the first step of socialistic medicine. Many of us are going to die directly due to social medicine. I'm telling you right now. No, I know some people are saying, well, you got to die of something. You got to die sometime. Sure, fine. That you're absolutely right. But let me ask you, do you want to die at the age of 70 because the government decides, well, we want to save money, so you're not worth spending on these medical treatments? Or do you want to live healthy and fairly healthy and have medical treatment to keep you fairly healthy until you're 85? I don't know, an extra 15 years on this planet might be nice. I'm just saying, some people might not think so, but I'm thinking another 15 years would be kind of, you get to see your grandkids grow up, maybe even get to see your great-grandkids. Hey, I find that worthwhile. Are you going to put a price tag on your life or any other person's life? Socialist medicine, so it's here. It's going to grow unless we get rid of it. It's going to affect all of us. This is one thing that is going to affect all of us. Plain and simple. So I'm telling you, I'm serious as a heart attack. We're all in trouble. If these numbers keep falling and dipping, as far as favoritism towards capitalism is concerned, and these numbers keep rising as far as favoritism towards socialism is concerned, we're in trouble, especially those of us who are of, Generation X and above. Because we will be senior citizens, elderly, in the second half of this century. Now, many of us will probably get there before then, but we definitely will be. The bulk of us definitely will be. And you'll start to see millennials start to age into that category. So, but we're all going to be in trouble. Because and think about this. I know the poor Generation X. We're kind of squeezed. We've got the idiot baby boomers ahead of us. Large group of people. And their kids and millennials below us, another large group of people. And we're not going to have much pull. But we're going to suffer just the same. You got to think about stuff like that. Get your kids out of these public indoctrination centers. Send your kid to a smaller, more private school and pay attention to how the curriculum is taught and what their curriculum is. No, there are quite a few conservative-leaning institutes of higher learning out there that do not cost an arm and a leg, like going to Brown or Harvard or Yale or Princeton or Dartmouth or even some of the lesser ones. Like Wellesley College or Hampshire College or Smith College or UCLA or something like that. You can still go to smaller, more conservative, less expensive schools, still get a great education, and learn what the Constitution and conservatism and capitalism truly is all about. And if you get enough people who start going to these things, well, of course, it's going to spark competition. Because if you have a lot of demand, well, somebody's going to step up to try to fill that demand. So if you have a lot of demand for conservative thought, and conservative teaching, well, then there's going to be more schools that are started or changed over to serve that market, which will end up with more schools of conservative thought. Plain and it's not hard. It's not a hard concept to understand. Marilyn Mosby, and this is from the Washington Times. Baltimore prosecutor Marilyn Mosby is under fire for political and celebrity conduct. A comparison is drawn to Duke Lacrosse and George Zimmerman cases. Well, yeah. Speaking of which, did you hear that George Zimmerman? I'm not going to get into that story. Don't have time today. But George Zimmerman was shot in a road rage incident. Evidently, he's fine. But he was shot in a. Look, the guy is just a mark. He's a marked man. There's no doubt about it. He's not. He can't go anywhere. Really, he can't. Without being recognized, without being targeted. Plain and simple. The guy is just marked. But Marilyn Mosby, the Baltimore City State Attorney in charge of prosecuting 6 police officers for the death of Freddie Gray Jr., is coming under increasing criticism from defense attorneys and legal scholars throughout the country who think she is politicizing the case and using her prosecutorial power to create her own celebrity. Oh, you think? I think we've already decided that that's the case here. We've already decided that this is what this woman is doing. We've already decided that she's out to make a name for herself, both in the legal field and in the political realm. She has higher aspirations, especially now. She does now. Now, Miss Mosby has raised eyebrows in several quarters with a media blitz that has spanned from CNN interview that focused on her courtship with her city councilman husband and her decision to appear on stage with Prince during a rock concert for a song dedicated to Mr. Gray. Look, you can't be out there trying a case in the media. That's not what this is all about. Oh, you gotta. I don't know what else. Yes, this is political. Yes, she's trying to make hay off of her celebrity, and she'll probably get some favorable bounce up in her political and professional career coming up. Don't doubt me, folks. Don't doubt me. Well, hey, this week is just getting started, folks, so hang around for the rest of the week. Same back time, same back channel. We're out of time for today. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.